Hey, it's your boy VG Time back again. Fresh from the Carta Magica Regional, where I got top 32 with the Shroom and Salsa deck. Now, I had the same record as the person in ninth place, but tiebreakers caused me to drop down outside the top 16, is what it is. But still, had a lot of fun. Ended up with an overall record of 6-2, and I'm just going to go over the list that I brought to the event. I'm not going to go too much into detail on what the leader does and everything like that because I have countless profiles on the channel of this deck and my progression of it over time. So I just want to show you what the latest and greatest is. So now we're at a 52 card deck. It was a really hard choice for me to make. I've been playing 60 for a while and I've been enjoying 60. But I felt like in a tournament like this that I wanted to be as lean and mean as possible, having only the most essential cards, and this is where it's down to. 4 copy of the Magica. You kind of have to run it because it has Overlord and also warps the top cards of your deck to set up your warp for your plays. And we're on 4 of the top 5 Searcher. Similar purpose, it sets up your plays. Also, the relevancy of being able to combo for 6 for the warp has came up several times in the tournament. You have 4 copies of Demon God Shroom, the Stormclad, and 4 copies of the Shroom and Salsa. This came up a lot in the red matchups, and it was the ability to just get cards out of their hand, to warp cards with their hand. Usually they did not have a very large hand size against me, just due to the way things kind of were and how I play. I play extremely lame. I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is. 4 copies of the promo Shroom and Salsa. This is a newer card to the deck for me. I never did a deck profile with this card in the deck, but it does a whole lot. And the main thing it does is it allows me to play this guy for relatively easily. It also provides a early to mid game 20k double striker, and it also allows me to get multiple cards out the drop when I need to. Like I went against Yellow Sin, I needed to make sure both cards were out so that he had no options for his abilities, and this card was part of the reason why I was able to do it. Overall package is 4 copies of Trunks Time Regulator and 3 copies of SS Sun Goku Zeno Reflective Strike. So you kind of have to run a pretty large amount of overwhelms. Reflective Strike is something I chose because of a package I run in the deck. But basically, these allow you to get these guys from your hand to the warp, which is pretty important, as well as other cards from your hand to the warp. We have our Supreme Kais. We have our Super Combo Supreme Kai. We have our Negate. Then, continue with the Negate, we play 2 copies of the Gohan Rare. This card has been very good. You just got to know when to play it. So basically, if you combo it and it goes to your Z Energy, you can pay black to warp a 4 cost or less battle card on your opponent's side of the field. That came up against like Pan, and some of the other decks like Yellow Sin. But the main thing is that a lot of times your opponent is accounting for this. They're accounting for a whole bunch of like other things, and they even may look in your hand and see no token negate, and I realize that this guy is chilling in the cut, ready to come through and negate their attack with a double, triple, or quad strike. And he has snuck people so many times throughout the tournament. And that's one of the benefits of playing a deck like this, because the main thing is that your opponent is usually not playing against a whole lot of black. Maybe they have that one Supreme Kai time player, but that deck is very different. So it's just different interactions. 4 copies of Vegeta. Of course, we play 4 copies of Vegeta because it goes well with the Goku. Going well with the Goku is because we play 1 copy of Thwarting, which is also really good. Right now, you can either use it as Overwhelm, or you can use it to restock the drop area to overwhelm something else. Because sometimes you don't want to make a Z battle card in order for you to be able to overroam. And getting cards out the drop to the warp is important because of the new anniversary box Mad Saiyan card, the Belligerent. This card right here gets rid of 2 of your opponent's battle cards until the end of their turn. But if you're smart about it, you're hitting tokens, you're hitting Z battle cards, you're hitting ultimates, so that they're cards that just don't come back. Or you're just getting blockers out the way so you can finish off a turn. It swings for 20 crit, which again came up in the matchups I was playing. Made your opponent kind of stress what was going on with themselves. 2 copies of this Mad Saiyan. There were plenty of matchups where I took this out. This is one of my cards that, hey, I don't mind taking out for siding. Another thing that I took out for siding was usually 1 copy of this card. So it would be like 6 overroams. And then it would be 1 copy of this card, which I kept in for some matchups, but mainly I took it out because we're in a more controlling meta than we were before. But I did play against some red, and because I played against some red, this card stayed in sometimes. Evil Saiyan. So I used to debate in my mind whether or not Evil Saiyan was better than Brainwash Kai. And depending on the format, Brainwash Kai might be better. But in general, this card is insane. I went against Yellow Golden Frieza, made this card, and then he could not gain advantage for the rest of the game. He would just be like, play this guy, draw a card, and I'd be like, take it. And now he had to generate more energy. And it was generate more guys, which meant he had to use more energy. And it was important because I had it backed up by a Dark Power Black Mad Saiyan. So using skills to play guys were really terrible for him. So it was pretty harsh. This was also good against just about everything. And when you're going for your Alpha Strike and you drop it them from 4 to 3 or from 3 to 2, crazy. And then 2 copies are not even a scratch. So this card got put in the deck to facilitate this card right here and to give me an additional negate. But this card only requires a card to go from your drop to your warp. And then you can use this as like a draw ape sort of, where you just send it to the warp and you draw a card. And that fulfills the requirements to make this thing cost 1. And you just play it and you get rid of their stuff. So overall the main deck was fairly untouched. As I mentioned, like you have these 2, this right here and this right here as the cards that were intentionally in the deck to be sided. With the next card up, if I really needed to go deep, being the not even the scratches, depending on what the matchup is. So next we're gonna look at the side deck, and then we're gonna look at the Z deck. So my side deck is pretty generic. It was crafted with the idea that even though Crimson was thwarted at World Championship, doesn't mean that it's not still the best deck in the format as far as like a general overall deck. And also I had in mind that there would be the yellow decks and so forth coming up. And I played against yellow and red, which was interesting because I believe the European regional had mainly all red, just going through smashing on people. 2 copies of Jiren, because again, I was expecting like Barris or other decks that would play Turning the Tide, so I didn't want to get caught lacking. 2 copies of Shin. This was for the aggro red decks. It came up because I played against like an SS4, and I played this card. It bought me a turn. I lost that match, but that was because I did something completely idiotic that made no sense. I was just out here just jobbing and throwing games. 2 copies of Heavenly Wizard Demigra. This is for Vegito, which was actually present at the event, and for Red Sin, just in case it showed up. 2 copies of Deborah. You never know when hand control is just going to hop up out the cut and just start doing things. So, 2 copies. 2 copies of Smoke. This came in against Green Majin Buu. It came in against Gamma. It's just good in general. Dark Power. Brought it in against Gamma. Brought it in against Green Magibu. Brought it in against anything that just tried to spam without using keywords, little guys. It was good against Golden Frieza. It's good against Trunks Cheetah. Just good against a lot of things. Koisakai, again, brought it in against the Yellow decks. Brought it in against Gamma. So that way I got to pressure them for using their floodgates. You would Koisakai and they would literally just not floodgate you because they don't want to lose 4 cards out of their hand in order to do that. So that's pretty good. And then 1 copy of Mechagabura. Really am scared of turning the tide, but also this is just good in general. I was planning on like naming S's for Vegeta cost 6, and I was planning on naming Gohan Superhero cost 8, and that was my plans for this card all day. It just didn't come up, but that's a side deck. And now we're gonna go on to the Z deck. I believe the Z deck for Black has came up quite a bit. It's not like it was before where you had such little options. Now you have multiple options, and one of them is like just literally clear head and shoulders above everything else. But each of these cards are good. So when we have the Z Leader, I finished so many games with the Z Leader. It also kept me in games long enough so I could finish by other means. A lot of people underestimate how much power this thing could get up to because they don't fully understand or read the card. But yeah, you would get up to like absurd numbers and they just couldn't get out of it. 1 copy of Demagra. Almost wish I played 2 because this card is still very, very good. I played 1 because it's just expensive, but I kind of wish I played 2 because when I would play it out the first time and get value off of it and they would remove it, but then usually they didn't have a lot of backup to that removal. And this card could have, like a second copy would have just sealed it in. 1 copy of this Goku. The concept of it is this. This guy is a cheap, big crit attacker. Usually you have the requirement to make it a 20k crit. Sometimes if you are really churning through your deck, it's a 25k crit. And you can just start swinging with a 2 cost 20 to 25k crit. But I might actually take it back out to put another copy of Demagra back in. So mounting, we all know is good. And then to me, the MVP of the deck, 3 copies of the Majin Buu. This card right here is absolutely crazy. The only thing they did to balance it out is by making sure that you had to have 3 energy before you could start doing his shenanigans. If he could start doing shenanigans off the rip, best Z battle card out there. This card was absorbing everything. Like, it literally hit everything. And then you get the pressure with 25k power, or you get to keep it up, and your opponent feels pretty bad having to use like something that usually costs more than 1 to deal with him to get him off the table. And sometimes they forget that his power boost, even though I have a whole dice up here, sometimes they forget his power boost lasts into the end of their turn. So they make bad swings into it. And then they try to build themselves out by comboing. And usually that just makes it minus a lot of cards. But this is a Z deck, and I think that going forward, other than maybe swapping this out for 1 more Demagra, that the Black Z deck is looking pretty good right now. So that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and I'll catch you guys again later. It's VG Time signing out.